Welcome, in front of me is a Xiaomi Black Shark 3 and today I'll go over unboxing along with a brief overview of the device. So starting off, this is the box that it comes in. As you can see, just a standard boxing at this point in time. Nothing really special here. Then inside you have all the booklets and stuff that we don't really care, along with a fairly nice case, as you can see. I'm gonna set it to the side and show it on the phone in a second. Then, like I said, no one really cares about the instruction. Some stickers if you wanna stick those whatever you want. Then inside here we have the phone itself, as you can see. Now it's already set up, just so I don't have to do that on the camera. And again, I'm gonna set that to the side as well. And here we have game is real, whatever. 5G gaming, 90 Hz display, so not really anything special, just like paper. And then we have a super hefty power brick, and what was it, like 65 watts I believe? Something insane. Let me just quickly check just to be sure. Yep, so it's max 65 watts. This is basically close to what laptops have, so you're going to be getting a really decent charge out of that one. And then just a cable in here, type A to type C, so nothing special here, just a normal cable for that charger. So let's just drop that back in here and set that to the side and get the phone in view. So there we go, that's the phone, and there's the case, so let's quickly pop it on here. So it adds a little bit of bulk to it. It keeps the triangles, whatever you want to call it, uncovered. So, and this feels fairly nice. That will most certainly kind of protect your device. Everything is uncovered, but not everything. So the power key and volume rockers are covered. The switch here for the gaming mode or whatever it's called is uncovered. And the back is primarily uncovered, as you can see. So I'm gonna take it off. So going straight to the device itself, it comes with a 6.67 inch display, as you can see right here. It doesn't have any notches on it. As you can also see, the corners are fairly well, generously rounded. Then the resolution of the display is, well, typical, I would say 1080p, most precisely it's 1080 by 2400, and it's a AMOLED display, so you get those super deep blacks, so it will look really nice in terms of watching, for instance, movies with really dark scenery with that HDR and stuff like that. Also you have the 90 Hz refresh rate. Now personally I would have liked to see 120 for well, something that is marketed as a gaming phone. Nowadays basically every typical flagship comes with 90, so 120 would have been, in my opinion, better if you want to stand out and make it just strictly a gaming device. And apart from that, you have some disappointing cameras, I would say. They're not taking any decent photos, at least not from what I've tried. It's a triple camera setup. It's a 64 wide sensor as a main shooter. Then you have a 13 megapixel ultra wide and 5 megapixel depth sensor. And all that can shoot at 4K 60 and anything below that, so 1080p shoots at 3060 and also slow motion at 240. And you also can shoot super slow motion at 720p at 900 or 1920 frames. So you get a fairly nice slow-mo on this. But like I said, the cameras aren't necessarily the best. Let's see if I still have a photo that I captured yesterday in a nice lighting. Okay, well, the device froze. That's always a nice sign. Hopefully it'll unfreeze soon. Oh, nope, it's just completely gone. I guess opening the camera was too much for this device. And it's completely unresponsive, so that's nice. Okay, I'm just gonna force restart it. There we go. Now I would assume that this is just maybe some kind of problem with the software. Probably after a software update this will not be happening. And also this has happened to me first time. I'm recording right now, so fortunate I could get that on a video. So let's try that again. There we go. As you can see now it opened it up. And yeah, there's the photo. So this was captured in a decent lighting condition. It's not poorly lit, but if you zoom in you can see that the carpet just completely loses any kind of sharpness to it. It just looks like a mash of gray and black spots all melted together. So there is not much detail in the photo in a decently lit condition, so that's a little bit disappointing. Now keep in mind I'm not an amazing photograph. I can test out some photos right now with this little prop that I have right here. So let's pop it in here. As you can see, there we go, and let's open up the camera and see what I can capture with it. So it's set to photo mode, so it should do everything automatically. Now I'm not gonna go into like the pro mode, so I can choose my balances and stuff like that. I assume people that are looking for such a phones will probably know exactly what they're looking for. So this is more for just a typical casual snap of a photo and see how well it will take at just a whipping out the phone and immediately capturing something. And you can already see that it doesn't have almost any detail in the red area. It has way more to it than what the photo captured. Let's go back. Let's see if there's any kind of other mode. So there's the Pro 64. Let's see if that will capture any better. So it did a tiny bit of a better job. Also you can zoom in closer, as you can see, but other than that it's close to still disappointing, I would say. So the 64 pixel sensor doesn't really do any outstanding job. Now this is primarily just a coding of the camera app. I assume if they update it better, it will most certainly capture the more respectable photos. After all, there's things like Google Pixels, which can handle their camera fairly well, and they're not like super, like 100 pixels or megapixels or whatever. So it's just a matter of how well the camera app is optimized for, well, the cameras itself. Now we can also capture some slow motion right here. So this is the 480, it looks like, and then there's the 1920. So this is the 720p super slow-mo. And let's see, I'm just gonna move it a little bit forward so you can see my hand right here. I'm gonna move it something like this, so it should slow fairly well. And we're also going to see how well it deals with the background, because I've seen previously on different devices where it just completely doesn't know what to do with the background, and it just kind of like moves it and trails it behind my fingers. So let's just see how this will do. So keep in mind that this is about a second of only recording in slow-mo out of, I believe, like 10 seconds. So you can see that there is this like this part right here, the 1/4 of the circle, and that's where it records the slow-mo. But it's also slowed down to such an extent that it will take 10 seconds. So yeah, you can see it right here. It does the weird trailing, some kind of like weird stuff happening between the fingers. Now this could also be at this speed. It might be also because of the refresh rate of the monitors. Oh, it's a 60 Hertz refresh, so it might be that basically it captures the refresh rate when it sees it. That's why it does this, but I'm not exactly sure. Don't have really any way of checking it. As you can also see, there is some like stuff that is happening to the finger itself, where it just kind of moves around on the edges. So as you can see, it just kind of does it not the best way. It seems to be a mediocre camera at best. So don't expect any super amazing photos out of it, I would say. But then this device isn't really catered to people for photo shoots, so sorry. So it's more for gaming. Okay, so moving on past the camera, at least the back one. At the front we have just a typical 20 megapixel wide sensor that shoots at 1080p 30 frames. This is just a standard kind of thing, so I wouldn't really expect more. I don't really care about the front camera personally. If you do, then well, it's here. And now it doesn't go to the screen, it doesn't have any notch, it's just in a bezel at the top. It does have fairly big bezels for 2020, I would say. But then, because it's a gaming device, I would say that it's not that annoying. They're symmetrical, so both of them are about the same size. And also, I guess you won't be pressing with your fingers to the display because of it. So it does help in certain cases, at least for a gaming device, to have such a bezel. And then moving on, we can go to the specs of the device. So it comes with a Snapdragon 865, and you have a couple variants of this device. So the first variants are in memory, so you have the 128 gigabyte storage and 256. With the differences between those two is 128, so the lower storage has two versions of RAM, so you have either 8 or 12 gigabyte RAM, while the 256 gigs only comes with 12, so you can't go lower in RAM. You only get if you go for the higher memory, you basically get the top spec of it. But if you go for the lower memory, you have the choice between the 8 or 12 gig RAM. And apart from that, it has a 4720 milliamp hour battery, so it's a fairly hefty battery here. And also really nice that they included this hefty, and I mean really hefty battery, or not battery but charger for it. It's a 65 watts, so it's a beast right here. It's a serious brick too, like it kind of, the majority of the other bricks pale in comparison to this one in terms of size. As an example, I have one Samsung. Now this is just a crappy Samsung charger, but here's the size of it in comparison. So as you can see, this charger is a unit basically. But then it delivers, I believe, like 3 times more power than this tiny little thing. So size and power, I guess, come together. And then with the storage that you get, the options that you have for this device, like I said, you have the 128 and 256. And both of them come with a UFS 3.0, so if you're not sure what that is, it's a flash storage, and it's the 3.0 version of it, which means that it basically has respectable speeds of copy, read and write, similar to something like an SSD. So you'll be getting a fairly blazing fast read and writes on here. And it also helps with booting of the device, so it does have a lot of benefits to having this kind of storage on here. And also to something that you can't really see on this, you have an under display fingerprint sensor, which if I could actually set it up, because I don't think it is set up, let's quickly go into password and security, fingerprint, let's confirm the pattern, cool, got it, and you can see right here. So I'll start scanning my finger. We can also see, let me just clean it off so it's not, okay. So we can also see how quick it works and how well. Now at this moment, I believe OnePlus's and probably I think Samsung's have one of the best under display fingerprint sensors in terms of how accurate they are and also how quick they work. And Okay, so we're basically done here. Let's leave this. So this works really nice, honestly. It does work quick. I have to give it that. It's a decent sensor. And as you can see also, not once did it fail. I mean, it did fail once when I just pressed my finger a little bit where I didn't actually scan it. But then the area that I scanned off my finger, it works well. I have to say that this is a decent fingerprint sensor. It's a fast one. So yeah, props to this thing. And I don't think there's anything else to say. You have just maybe a general overview of the device, so we can look at it around. Let's move this out of the way. So at the side you have just a volume racker, a SIM tray. Now this does not come with a storage expansion, so you can't pop in a SD card in here to expand the storage. So whatever you get, that's all you will have. Kind of unfortunate. So if you're buying this device and you know you're gonna need more than 128 gigs, straight away go for the bigger one. Otherwise you won't have any other options to expand it later on. Then, as you can see, in terms of the design, you have the antenna bands right here. Now, this is a 5G device, as you can see by the branding right even here, almost visible. So you can see it briefly. It looks like it's a little bit protruding from it, but it's actually flat. So yeah, then apart from that, you do have this glowing logo. I believe you can turn it off if you want to. I haven't really gotten to mess around with it. I know that in previous devices it was fully RGB, so you could change the colors of it. You could also assign some functions to it to notify you or to work as a notification light, and for instance not shine all the time even when the device is locked, and only shine, for instance, when you're using it. So I assume the same options will apply in here as well. I mean, this is a newer version of the previous device, so I would only assume that they improved on it instead of downgraded from it. But yeah, then going to the bottom of the device, you have the charging port and a microphone right here, along with more antenna bands. Then more antenna bands, power key, and then the switch for the game mode, I think it's called. Let's see, or Shark Space. I think that's how it was called previously. Just allow. Yep, there we go, Shark Space. So if you're wondering what that is, it's basically a gaming center in a way. It will get all the games that you have on your device along with recommend you some. And from here you can launch them with additional boosts to performance, to display, and colors, and also do stuff like enabling the do not disturb mode while you're in this mode. And it only requires you to flip the switch right here. And also when you flip it back, it just straight up goes back to the home screen, as you can see. And going back to how it looks like, at the front you have just the speaker grill, the microphone, or the piece that you talk to, the selfie camera right here, if you can see that tiny little circle right here, it's a fairly small one. And at the back you have, well, as you've seen previously, this design. Now I also believe that the device comes in several colors. This is just a black version of it. It looks fairly nice, honestly. And also the device has a nice curve to it. The angles, right, as you can see right here, so you have like a weird cutout of the aluminum frame, but it does feel nice in hand, and it doesn't actually feel like it's sharp or in some way, I don't know, unnecessary. And well, one thing that I will add, the device does have some weight to it, so probably if you drop it without any case, it's not going to be good for the device. Now it's not like any device is good to be. It's good to drop any device, but this one, because of the weight, it will hit hard. So yeah. Now the last thing that I will mention is probably the price, and I believe, not exactly sure, but I believe the price of this device was somewhere around 500 to 600 euros, which personally it's a really good deal for such a device. You get almost flagship specs, apart from the camera. The camera is the worst part of it. But anything else like the display, the fact that it's AMOLED, 90 Hz refresh rate, the Snapdragon, the new Snapdragon, along with a really good power brick and fairly decent battery, and also a headphone jack, which is a thing that almost everybody forgot about. It's a really good deal, honestly. Probably not very many devices with such a specs for such a price right now. If you were looking for anything else, it usually costs around like 700. Flagship devices from, for instance, Samsung or Huawei will cost you about 1,000. So this is nearly half of the price with just almost the same specs, just some cost cutting in certain spots. So the question is more to you if you're okay with the cost cutting that they took here to provide you with such a device. And like I said, you're gonna lose on camera. So if you're looking to capture some really detailed, really nice photos, this device will not be it. But for anything else, this just has enough power to do anything else. And I believe it also comes with like additional accessories like the gamepads, these previous ones did, where you just snap it onto it and it would add additional value to it. Now, unfortunately, you would have to buy them separately, so that would add to the cost of the device. But just as a standalone device, it's a really good one. And so this would conclude my overview of this device, and it's a positive one, I would have to say. There's way more positive sides to it than negatives, I would have to say, and I would recommend this device if you're looking for something gaming related. But if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.